Hi, this is Brett, and this is my third and final video for Anthropology 205, discussing an article titled The Science and Business of Genetic Ancestry Testing. The first question is, what are the limitations of genetic services in terms of scientific assumptions about a person's heredity and descent? The biggest limitation is that some companies will claim that if you have a certain allele or haplotype, then you're definitely descended from the population who exhibits that allele or haplotype most, which is clearly not necessarily true. There are many different populations that may have that allele, and you could be descended from any of them. It's a matter of probability, so you're more likely to be descended from the population that exhibits the allele or haplotype more, but you could still be descended from a population that exhibits it less. The second question asks, what motivates most people to participate in recreational genetics services, and what do they hope to gain? Many people are just looking for where they came from, a sense of self and racial identity. Typically, African Americans are looking to recover some of their lost heritage, or Native Americans might be looking to see how Native American they are. Some people are looking for where they came from, what place to call their home, their homeland. These are just some of the things that people are looking to gain from the genetic services. The next question is, why are many of the assumptions about race and ethnicity questionable due to the limitations of the testing procedures and protocols? For me, the biggest questionable assumption is that they have such a small sample size. They look at your DNA and they compare it to other known DNA samples, but they have such a small sample size to work from. The article says maybe 10,000 to 20,000 in a typical company's database. That's so tiny compared to the number of humans alive today and the number of humans alive, in the past. Another limitation is that if you look at the mitochondrial DNA or the Y chromosome DNA, you're only looking at one ancestor per generation. Right? You're looking at your mother, and then her mother, and then her mother. And so when you're at the level of your parents, you're looking at just your mother's ancestry line, which is 1 out of 2. Right? You're looking at half. A generation above that, your grandparents, you're looking at your mother's mother, and you're not looking at your mother's father, your father's mother, or your father's father. That's 1 out of 4 of your ancestors that you're looking at. Your great-grandparents, you're looking at 1 of 8 of your ancestors, and it goes exponentially like that, 1 out of 16. And it's just such a tiny fraction of your ancestry that it seems to me almost meaningless. Not to mention the fact that the DNA, the portions of your DNA that they're looking at are so small, 1% of your DNA is what they're looking at. The fourth question is, what are the risks to individuals who do genetic testing of over-interpreting the results of these services? One big risk is making a medical decision or a life decision or a personal decision based off of incorrect data. You could assume that you are more prone to a certain disease because of where you came from, but because of what your ancestry is, and make decisions based off of that data, which turn out to be incorrect data. You could be making life-altering decisions, life-threatening decisions based off of data that is not even correct. The next question is, the authors justify their purpose in writing the article. What reasons do they give in their defense? These are scientists working in the field, in genetic study, in anthropology, and some of their main motivation is protecting protecting the public's view of those fields and of those areas of study. If these companies that are offering these tests are seen as sort of representative of genetics and anthropology, then they're the face of that to the public. And if they're being dishonest or misleading and providing inaccurate information, then the public might have a more negative view of these areas of study. And so the scientists that put out this paper are mainly trying to protect their livelihoods, their area of study from negative public impact based on these these few companies' actions. The last question asks, now that you've read the article, what is your reaction to genetic ancestry testing? I don't really like it. It seems like it has such a small, it's looking at such a small portion of your ancestry, and you have such a tiny confidence in the answers, right? Like, it might tell you that you are possibly descended from these certain populations, but the degree of accuracy of that is just tiny. It seems like it's not a good idea for anything but just for fun. I mean, the article calls it recreational testing. I think it should be considered very recreational. I don't think that you should base important decisions, life-altering, life-threatening decisions on this information that really has very little chance of being correct. And for the average person, they're not going to understand all of these nuances. And so it just seems like a bad idea to be offering this, and I'm not sure what the solution is, but I can't imagine, I don't think would be interested in getting one of these tests done. It just is not accurate enough for my tastes.